Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe at home. So guys, we are going to be talking about an issue that usually goes unnoticed, but if you do not fix it in time, it will start showing up on all the leaves of your succulent. Now the reason behind making this video was because recently I happened to notice on Facebook one of the person was having the same issue and I was quite surprised with what type of information other people were providing him with. I'm sure those people wanted to help and was trying their best to give him the proper diagnosis for this problem. Unfortunately, most of the information that was given was incorrect. Well, some said that it was due to overwatering, some said that was because of strong light, some said it is fungus, so on and so forth. So guys, here is a picture of what we are just talking about, and we are going to be discussing about it in detail about how does it occur and how it can be fixed. Now guys, this is called as edema, the same what is mentioned in the medical terms. It appears as bumps, blisters or crystal-like growth on most of the succulents. Now this is usually found on the lower or the older leaves but can gradually appear on other parts of the leaves as well if it is not fixed in time. Now some succulent plants like jade and peperomias are particularly susceptible to this, but I would say almost any broadleaf plant may be affected with this. So guys, here I have one of my succulent that has got affected with edema. You can see that the lowest leaf has got these bumps. Now guys, you do not have to be worried. This does not spread because it's not contagious. This is not mold, this is not fungus, or it's not rot. But this usually happens if there is very less moisture or if there is too much of moisture. So guys, please don't get confused with overwatering and too much of moisture, because if it was an overwatered succulent, then the succulent would have started getting rotted. But here the moisture has been collected in the leaves. Now because these succulents have very thin leaves, due to which when they are dehydrated and when you tend to flush them with water in one go, because the succulent is thirsty, it starts to absorb water at a very fast rate. Now because they are very thin, the leaves are very thin, and when they tend to absorb too much of water in a very short period of time, what happens is the cells inside these leaves tend to get ruptured and damaged, and hence causing these bumps or blisters on the leaves. Now guys, I know it's going to be very difficult to understand this, because once these bumps appear on the leaves, they cannot be rectified back again. You will not get that fresh leaf how it looked initially. It's going to stay on the leaf as long as the leaf is on the succulent. It cannot be reversed back again to the new leaf. So guys, this is going to be very common with succulents that have very thin leaves. Now here you can see how thin the leaf is. Now guys, we all know that succulents tend to store water in their leaves, and if you're thinking that the leaves are so thin, then how can they store water in their leaves? So guys, if you take a closer look, you'll notice that even though the leaves are very thin, but you'll see that the shape of the leaves are quite broad. Now this is how the succulent tends to store more water. Now guys, here I have another succulent. The leaves are thin, but you can see how thick the leaves are. Now because these succulents have thick leaves, they can store a lot of water, hence they do not need to have those broad leaves. Now these succulents, the edema can also appear on these succulents, but it is very rare. It only happens on succulents that are usually broad leafed or who have thin leaves. Usually this is a very common sight that you'll tend to see on succulents like jade or peperomia. But however, you cannot deny the fact that it will not appear. It might appear on these succulents as well. Now, usually this happens guys when there is too much of moisture, or if there is very less moisture, or if you have completely neglected your succulent for a very long time and then you decide that you're going to water them, this problem is going to occur. So guys, this won't harm as long as it's in a small amount, but if the succulent is left neglected, then the amount of edema will increase, which means that there will be large number of bumps on the leaves. Now this means that there will be more damage to the cells, meaning that there will be no cells left to store the water in the leaves, because they are damaged. Eventually the leaf will die even after that if you still neglect the succulent, and if this pattern continues then all the leaves will die one by one, and eventually if all the leaves die, you know what's going to happen. The succulent will also die because there is no way that there are any leaves left to store the water. Now guys, even the stem can also produce leaves again, but because the succulent has been neglected for a very long time, this could even harm the stem as well, and due to which the stem might also get damaged. So guys, it's absolutely normal and natural for them to usually occur on the older lower leaves. Why? Because they are weak and hence they show up on the older lower leaves. So don't be worried if there are few bumps that will not kill the succulent or that will not kill the leaves, but you have to make sure that you keep an eye on the succulent so that it does not occur. Now guys, this particular succulent got affected a lot because this was kept in shade. There was no control on moisture. It was neglected. There was constant moisture from rain. Even though it was kept in shade, there wasn't a proper regular watering schedule. Hence, you can see the outcome. So please avoid this. Try as much as you can. Try to give as much attention as you can when you tend to see such bumps on the leaves. So guys, here on the other hand, you can see another succulent that is broad-leaved and has very thin leaves. You can see this is doing quite well. Why? Because guys, this was kept in balcony. It was receiving a good fair amount of morning direct sunlight. Apart from that, during rains, this was covered with a plastic. Hence, there was not much moisture getting into the soil. So you can see how well it's doing if you keep a control on moisture, if you keep them giving them a good amount of sunlight, the edema will not appear. However, as I said, it is natural. It might appear on the lower leaves, but if you take good care of the succulents, this can be controlled to some extent. Now guys, this all depends upon the experience of handling succulents. I cannot say that it is not going to happen, especially if you're a beginner. You might happen to face this because guys, apart from experience, it also depends upon the type of environment, the amount of humidity, the amount of moisture, and the climate. So I cannot tell you exactly how you're going to deal with this because it all depends upon different environment. So guys, how we are going to fix this, I would suggest is try to keep the succulent hydrated. Ensure that the soil does not stay moist for a very long time. Try to provide as much as morning sunlight as possible, or at least provide bright indirect sunlight. Keep a proper watering schedule. Do not let the succulent get dehydrated for a very long time as much as possible. And I think this will control the edema from appearing on the leaves. But guys, as I said again, it all depends upon your environment, your climate, and the amount of moisture and humidity that you have in the air. It all depends upon that. There is nothing as right or wrong when dealing with edema. So guys, there are a lot of varieties of succulents and each succulent variety has a different requirement when it comes to watering. Succulents with thin leaves would need slightly more watering compared to the other succulents that have thick leaves. Now why does this happen guys? Because these leaves are thin, they do not have much storage of water, hence they get dehydrated or they tend to run out of water. So always make sure that if you have succulents that are thin or the leaves are thin, ensure that you do little bit more of watering compared to the other succulents. But as the thumb rule remains the same, you will only water the succulent when the soil completely dries. Now it all depends upon your environment, it all depends upon which city you belong to. According to that, you have to deal and you have to make sure that your succulents are well hydrated and not left neglected. So guys, as I've said that this is very common with jade plants. So even after taking very good care of your jade plant, you might still happen to see these bumps on the lowest leaf of your jade plant. So don't be worried, it's absolutely fine. That's very natural and normal, but you just keep continuing to take care of your plant as you have been taking care, and please keep a close watch on them. So guys, I hope this clears all your doubts, and I want to clarify this once again. This is not a disease or a fungal infection, hence applying of any fungicide will not help solve this problem. If you still continue to have an improper watering schedule, these bumps will appear on the leaves. In fact, fungicides have no way connection to these blisters. They will appear, and hence if you're going to use these fungicides, you will literally be wasting the fungicide which can be used for the actual cause. So guys, just relax and sort out your watering schedule, and definitely this succulent will do fine. So guys, now that we have spoken about edema and what causes edema, guys, there are certain varieties of succulents like this ECHEVERIA raindrops. These are unusual succulents that have these little bumps on their leaves. Now guys, please don't get confused this with edema. This is not edema, but these succulents have these distinctive looking bumps on them which give them a very unique look, and this is a part of the succulent. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please consider subscribing to my channel. And guys, if you ever come across someone who's having this issue or has no knowledge about what exactly is going on with the leaves, kindly share this video with them, and I'm sure this will definitely help them identify what's going on with their succulent. Until then guys, take care, stay safe, bye bye.